to Early Morning Catechism, and Happy Easter again. As we said last time, during these weeks of the Easter season, we're going to be making a little retreat. And we're going to be focusing on one of the longest Easter stories, and I think one of the best loved. And that's the story of the disciples on the road to Emmaus. We started our little retreat last time, and we looked at the two cities, Jerusalem and the town, actually, of Emmaus, saying that Jerusalem was the holy city, Emmaus was really a town for the Romans. And so it was two people leaving the holy city, and in so many words, entering the secular city. Today we move on, and we come to the sentence that Jesus himself drew near and walked with them. They did not recognize him. The scripture says their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. I really believe that one of the key ways that we meet the risen Lord is in the person of a stranger. And oftentimes we don't recognize, and we want to resist and draw away. Jesus came to them. They did not recognize him, but he did not leave them. Let me tell you a story. Many, many years ago, the sisters with whom I lived had gone out to what is now the shrine at Robinsonville, northeast of Green Bay. And we were going to spend the weekend out there because at that time the sisters were really in charge of the buildings at the chapel, as we called it. We spent the weekend there, and it was Sunday afternoon, and there were a lot of people coming to the chapel. They were going to have a holy hour. We only had a couple of hours left, and I really wanted to be alone. It was a gorgeous, beautiful day in September, actually an Indian summer kind of day. And I didn't want to go into the chapel. I just wanted to be alone and have some time to myself. I was walking up and down the lane behind the buildings and just praying quietly and taking in all the beauty. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this man was standing in front of me. I never heard him coming. And he said, "Ma'am, is it okay for me to be here?" And I said, "Well, yes." And he started to talk to me, and immediately, poor me, I wanted time alone to pray. And here's this stranger interrupting me. As he talked, he kept asking me, "Is it okay for me to be here?" And in between, he would swear a little bit, and he would spit on the ground. He wore a stocking cap, even though it was very warm that day. His front teeth were missing, and he was concerned because he had brought his aunt out here to pray in this building, and he didn't think he was worthy to go inside, so it wasn't okay for him to be out here walking in the back. And I assured him over and over it was okay. Finally, he got his story out. It was obvious that he had been drinking. It was obvious that he felt sad. But his story was this. He had had a very good friend. His friend had died of cancer. His friend was buried the day before. We took a little more time to talk, and then he made as if to go on, And I reached out my hand, and we shook hands, and he left. And as I kept walking in the other direction, I kept asking myself, who was that? I think very often in our lives when we meet up with a stranger and we take time to listen to their story and they go away feeling a little better, we can ask ourselves, who was that? And so as we proceed through this week of Easter, ask yourself, when have I met a stranger, and when they left, I asked myself, who was that? And in what ways did I show some kind of resistance? Jesus wants to bring out the best in us, and sometimes the best is brought out by how we respond to the stranger.